Welcome, everyone. Welcome. It is me, Angelo Robles. It is a Friday as we're about to head into lovely Memorial Day weekend here in the US. I know I've been pretty active on my travels and short solos and a really great week this week with interviews. Wow, Richard Swart and Ram Alawalia. I mean, go check out my at Family Office on YouTube if you haven't seen them yet. They both went more public as of today on a Friday. And I know many of you, especially here in America, it's an extra special day or weekend, I might add, really the unofficial beginning of the summer. I have a lot on my mind. Some things are going to seem a little haphazard and random, but that's a little bit how I think. But everything will convert back to the world of wealth, finance, and of course, single family offices. I'd like to talk a little bit about some things I have on my mind that you're probably not often used to having people in the family office world talk about. And I've been in it for decades. So hopefully I'll impart some good guidance here and there. I would like to talk about a little bit of some of the activities. Buongiorno, Robert. I see some of the comments already coming in. I always appreciate that. So appreciate all of your support. And for those of you with more public interaction, I'm active on LinkedIn, really all socials, and most active on my at Family Office on YouTube. But it's going to be a busy summer and I have lots to catch up on. I do have varying streams that I'm going to be bringing in, so I'll need to work the computer a little bit. But why not, without really much further ado, we kind of get cracking here. So for a change, hopefully I won't be too rambling. It is a Friday, though. And yes, in case you're wondering, I have a trusted cigar that I'll be enjoying, a nice hot tub in my cigar very shortly, and lots of things that are making my mind spin that I'll be both enjoying personal time with family and friends this holiday weekend. And I have just writing and things to do and tweaking to all the master classes I'm working on. But again, without further ado, let's get right to it. So first of all, I'd like to begin, as I noted, as recording this in late May, we're approaching here the official Labor Day weekend. And let's remember always what the holiday truly stands for: honoring the brave men and women who gave their lives of service to our country here in the US. It's not just a long weekend, it should really be a moment to reflect on sacrifice, on freedom, and the cost of the values that we hold dear. So, wishing all of you a meaningful and respectful Memorial Day. And if you're not here in the US, hey, on our behalf, grab a cigar, enjoy, and have a 3-day weekend yourself. Certainly, why not? And again, I have multiple streams that I'm feeding in. I often don't do that. I'm sometimes not the best at navigating this, so hopefully it won't look a little too botchy. But again, a fair number of things to talk about. And I think for me, I could easily keep it under an hour. And if one subject doesn't float your boat, probably a minute or two later, we're going to another. And I would like to have more audience interaction. So those of you that are live, feel free to jump on in. So I admit the next subject I'm going to talk about, I'm going to come at you with kind of two things in the news, I guess you could say. One of them is a little dated now, probably 30 to 45 days old, and the other very new from this week. So both of these are going to relate to kind of AI and even genetics. So like, wow, I'm sure many of you heard about the dire wolves, which were made famous, if you're a fan of HBO's Game of Thrones, have been extinct, for like 12,500 years. But thanks to genetic engineers, the advent of greater technologies, including AI, and things are advancing so fast. So the biotech company, is it Colossal Biosciences, that these majestic predators, if I could use that word, are back. So one, I think from the perspective how things are advancing so quickly and playing, some would say, a little bit of God here. Well, interesting. There's no question that there's going to be greater advances that are going to apply to many different things, including humans. Many of you heard about a Chinese scientist that can't leave. His wife can't come back in. And some of the things he did, I don't want to make this a genetics conversation, but it's just so obvious that so much is changing before our eyes. And when I think and I say some of the things I talk about, I'm a little early. It's 6 months, a year, sometimes even 3 to 5 years down the road. it reminds me that maybe not. Maybe some of this is actually, even for someone like me who tends to think maybe overly future forward, I'll admit that it's happening even faster and faster. And these are all going to be impacts with the impact of AI, the advent, what's going on in genetics, what we see going on in biotech and areas of longevity. We're heading into a very interesting period. Now, lots of what I just described probably won't play out from even a human perspective for probably well over a decade or longer. But this is an interesting time. I will be having more people on from the aspect of investing in genetic longevity companies, as well as more of the bigger picture, which relates to from a societal perspective as well. So simply, and I'm bringing on another feed, stay tuned for that. And wow, have you guys followed the news? I know I'm an AI freak, at least for a guy my age who's 60. But this week, Google Gemini's new suite, the AI videos, oh my God, it is like a year quicker than I thought. So if you haven't looked it up, you definitely want to look it up. It's Google Gemini's VEO 3. Like, where do I start on this one? We all know that the advent of AI for images and creating short clips and all that, like, it's okay, but you could tell for the most part, it's somewhat artificial. This changed the game probably at least a year earlier than I thought, which relates to things are happening very, very quickly. We all have to be very careful not to anchor, be careful of getting in our echo chambers and confirmation bias. And I'm as guilty of that, certainly, as everyone. But you have to check this out. It's amazing. It is so realistic. So realistic. Forget it as an image, as effectively you're prompting in, you're creating characters. They are so human-like, and you're writing a script and talking and changing the prompt, and they're changing expressions. And this is like just out right now. What is this going to be like a month from now, 3 months from now? My God, forever, like a year from now. So think of the impact this is going to have even from an investing perspective. Now we could talk about the negative. Oh my God, cybersecurity, yeah, goes up because deep fakes, which are already very powerful with 11 labs and tools like that and other resources at our fingertips, or sometimes the bad guys' fingertips. We have to be very, very careful in today's world. And it's all happening very quickly. On a different perspective of it, and when I tell you this is realistic, like 99.99, and it's the worst it's ever going to be today. So go check it out. Google's Gemini VEO 3. It is shocking and game-changing. So I said a couple of months ago, but I thought this was maybe a year, possibly 3 years off. Like, how is Hollywood going to survive this? Now, Hollywood made a lot of mistakes in its own right. We could save that for a different time. But the fact that you can now create videos and create characters, how they talk, their character traits, like, it's so nuanced, it is scary. What is this going to do to a variety of organizations? Well, I can mention one, but this is kind of a family type show, at least I think. I think that industry that I'm talking about, it begins with an S and ends with an X, or the adult industry is going to be wickedly upended and changed. Hollywood itself, for sure. So we're going to have the power now to be our own effectively producers, to create our own movies. Now, distribution could be another thing, but again, in today's world, with what's at our fingertips, you have to think about this from an investing perspective as well. How could you profit? How could you hedge? And a deeper perspective, even in the family office, I mentioned one being cybersecurity. And when I tell you that this is good, like, oh my God, you have to go look at it today. And again, like, are there any moats anymore? They're disappearing. So what we maybe thought of, I'm going to invest in the S&P and go to sleep, which is something that I've said before too, and historically has been pretty good if you look at it over tracks of years and aren't concerned about some volatility in the short term. But what happens when companies no longer have moats, where like everything that I don't know if I want to quite use the term, is coming to an end, but it's changing. And you could make a decision, and this happens in the family office world, to be ignorant, to put your head in the sand, to be fearful, all things that to some degree we all are to some extent, or to accept reality, especially those of us that have children, that have grandchildren, that think about things like continuity and family and what the world could look like. It is very, very interesting times. Some other couple of topics before I get to kind of the core of the summer, although I think those two things, especially the latter, from more of a short term, are certainly things that I wanted to mention and talk about. I mentioned this, I think it was a solo that I did yesterday, relative to experts. Not always a term that I like. It doesn't mean that I don't respect a level of credentials, a level of IQ, of course, and a level of experiences that sometimes I think could be overrated. But I look at it even in the world of money and finance and family offices, the verbiage experts. I think effectively experts are a narrow field or industry that often effectively looks to control you. Don't you think that they would want tyranny? They would want censorship because you're freeing them by identifying them as experts from often having to prove that their ideas really work. How do you like that one? Again, you're accepting the credentials, if you want to use that verbiage, and you're freeing them from having to prove that their ideas work. And I do see this within the family office world. That does not mean that I don't respect experience. I do. But to assume that just because someone is young and in their 20s doesn't mean that they may not look at problems from a different perspective and helping to solve them, which goes into a deeper perspective of the world of finance and family offices. So just something that I was thinking about, that in my crazy mind, that crosses my mind, that I think we all need to be fearful of. And I think we have to look at it, even when we do have skills that we acquired and experiences that we think help us. Sometimes they trap us into a box, actually. We do have to understand. I think I heard the story once of the 10th degree black belt. Maybe it was judo. It doesn't really matter. That kind of on the deathbed, please bury me in a white belt. We always have to be a lifelong learner. Assumptions that we held true, that we believed in, a lot of these are not mathematics. 2 + 2 is 4. Conditions around it change. And a lot of it is really, I could get into free will and objective versus subjective, but I don't know if you're really listening to me for that kind of convo, but if you kind of like it in the future, certainly bring it on. But just something that I wanted to get a little bit off my mind from a more of an economic perspective, and some of the things I even see happening now, which to me, I find a little disappointing. We just can't stop, could we? Here in the US, probably the West, I guess a large part of the world, we can't stop printing money. Like, we have a $37 trillion debt in this country here in the US that's not magically going to go away. We could tell ourselves that we're a world reserve currency. It doesn't matter quite as much. Even I've said things like that before. But then you look at what Dalio talks about in the debt cycle and some of the 5 pillars, including technologies, is a big one at the end. And sometimes you have to face some very stark realities. In terms of the whole combination of inflation and things relative to money printing, well, I don't know. We take in what, 4 trillion in tax revenues, and we're going to have outputs of what, 6-7 trillion? That's not good. Like, how is that being additive to addressing the big picture problems that we have? And just assuming that maybe AI and robotics, and we look at debt to GDP, and all these things are just going to magically get better as the years go on, I don't know. And just the fact that we're relying on being the world reserve currency, which is going down a little bit by percentage, like, this is a problem. Are there other factors that contribute to it? Sure. Prices of energy, I could argue wages and things like that. But it does appear like a big one is these politicians, no matter what side of the aisle, I'll agree with you on that. They can't stop printing money. They want to win midterms. They want to win votes. And this is just kicking the can down the road. And it looks like, to me, what I deem to be a big problem. So in terms of this summer with me and my private intelligence and membership community, SFO Continuity, I'm thinking about strategy, thinking about structure, and always thinking about, which relates to Memorial Day weekend, about sovereignty and freedom, things that I greatly enjoy. So this summer, at least my SFO Continuity members, which of course you're going to go ahead to my website and join, will have access, from my perspective at least, to an unparalleled mix of in-person and digital experiences. I'm hosting a series this summer of intimate family office breakfasts, primarily New York, maybe a little bit of Greenwich, a luncheon here and there, mainly across, like I said, New York City and Greenwich, bringing together principals, rising generation executives in the family office, and occasionally a guest expert, Ram Alawalia, who you heard a couple of days ago in my program, has joined us before here and there. And I think you'll gain exclusive and proprietary content advancing your family office structuring, which I've been very big on lately. I got some incredible tax positioning things. Some of them I'll make more digital, upcoming shortly. I got an incredible guy on business exit strategies and even private foundation optimization. So we're doing a deep dive, and I always will, on geopolitical and macroeconomic forces that are kind of shaping the all-important capital allocation today. So I hope you have a chance to certainly enjoy this and be a participant in it, at least from the perspective, as I noted, a family, including rising generation and executive. So this culminates to a degree pretty early in the official summer with, as I've talked about, my AI Family Office Masterclass in New York, June 23rd and 24th. I'll also be doing, I still have to fine tune it in the dates, but late summer, let's call it August, a gathering in the Hamptons for reflection, relationship building, and what I would define as next level intelligence sharing. I also have a new announcement. I'll do a solo on it, but this summer, probably second week of June, you'll see it up on my website. I'll be introducing the 360 Family Office Review. This is an elite offering for select family offices. I'll be launching really an incredibly comprehensive and forward-looking service, offering really a 360 diagnostic, whether you're an existing or looking to create a family office and do it right from the ground up, and an optimization review of what I would define as your family's core architecture, including legal, tax, operational, and for sure, technological. This is nothing surface level. This is really a strategic, multidisciplinary immersion into the very structure and functionality of, in my case, the single family office. This is designed specifically for these families and family offices and the executives as well, as, of course. It's focused really on one goal. It's to ensure your family office is not only compliant and secure, but also agile, intelligent, and of course, future forward. So a little bit more context behind it. Legal entity review, the structuring of family office, holdcos, private trust companies, foundations, tax optimization, and really almost a full suite of legal structures, management company versus how your assets are held, the nuances of that, domicile structures, C Corps, LLCs. I mentioned holding companies, philanthropic interest, trust, etc. Looking at it through a lens of effectiveness first, followed by efficiency, protection, and really strategic purpose. I'll go with that. So these families will receive guidance where current frameworks, I think, are either vulnerable or under-optimized, which is almost always to some degree something, or even tax exposure, succession, and multi-jurisdictional resilience, I guess I would call it. So imagine an operational architecture and workflows. Those are among my strengths. We will map and assess how your family office operates, even including investment committee functions, financial reporting, concierge services, and of course, rising gen engagement. So where is there friction? Where is there redundancy? Where are you vulnerable to disruption? And receive a custom analysis of really all this, including workflows and decision-making or the decision-making model, with an emphasis on reviewing and possibly intelligent design or redesign. Obviously, I'm going to be in there with the tech stack, AI, systems intelligence, digital security protocols, use of emerging tools, which almost every family office is really kind of antiquated, especially around AI, automation, and even really data governance, things we'll talk more about in the future. What's the objective? To ensure that your office, I don't want you just to keep up, but to lead and get recommendations tailored to your size, strategy, and sovereignty. I have a big announcement on this coming up in about 1 more minute, so just be a little patient. One, I will not be undertaking this alone. Joining me is literally one of the top tax attorneys at a gigantic firm, by the way, one of the largest firms in the world. And he's offering along with me to be able to do this. And I got the little special offer coming up in a second. but his insights into structuring, cross-border complexity, and really institutional grade governance tax planning is, well, I could argue unmatched. And he brings decades of experience, so sometimes experience really does matter, advising some of the world's most substantial families. In addition, not only him, and he's primarily based in Greater Aspen because he could, yeah, but in addition, a curated group of other industry luminaries, depending on the family and the situation, on family office systems, even private investments, AI integration. Uh, the fixer will bring the family office fixer, Daniel, in as well, contributing to this framework, analysis, and deliverables. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I believe in pedal to the metal in the summer, so no relaxation for me. A couple of 3-day weekends, but not too many. If selected, and it's going to be on my website shortly. One, you got to be either creating a real single family office or have an existing one. You'll receive a comprehensive, effectively an intake package, including a detailed questionnaire and documents that we'll need to help complete this, all, of course, with an NDA, so it's private all the way around. Followed probably by several, not even just one, but high-level Zooms, or if you're really local, maybe in person, to uncover nuances and gather strategic insight to kind of tailor collectively our final recommendations. And each family will receive a confidential, but deeply customized report with direct and prioritized, maybe that's the word I'm looking for, guidance, frameworks, implementation, covering legal structure, to some degree tax strategy, definitely operational workflows, governance alignment, and of course, AI native opportunities. So I'm beginning this, like I said, mid to late June at the latest. I will make a splash with some announcements, including on the website. And here's the kicker. The first 3 families that need to be approved and need to be legit and real, we will do this on a complimentary basis. You're not just getting me, you're getting who some people would consider the top tax attorney in the world. So more details to follow. Stay tuned. If interested, you know how to email me and reach out. Angelo@AngeloRobles.com. So I don't always like working for free, but it'll be an interesting experience for me to collaborate with some incredible, true, dream team. And it's going to be great. So, of course, many of you know, but it's something that I'm passionate about, that my AI Family Office Masterclass, kind of architecting your future, faster, smarter, sovereign, led by me, but also featuring a mini dream team on June 23rd and 24th in person, New York City. And I've said this before, but sometimes y'all do need to hear it again. The Family Office of tomorrow really isn't an upgrade. It's kind of a reinvention. It's built not to just keep pace, but to shape the future. Traditional structures with manual workflows, layers of management, bureaucracy, and they're becoming liabilities. In an AI-powered world, look at what I said about Google Gemini and some of the adaptations that they're doing. Every inefficiency is kind of an existential risk. The winners, well, they're acting decisively, like right now, they're reimagining their operations around AI, empowering talent. So yes, human talent with AI enhancements and agents, eliminating outdated processes and building agile, intelligent workflows. Forward-thinking families know that AI isn't just coming, it's here. It's the worst it's ever going to be right now, and it's reshaping effectively everything. The question isn't if AI will transform your office, but whether you'll lead the transformation or kind of just be a follower. And the world isn't waiting, and in my opinion, neither can you. While, again, I get it, single family offices may not per se have direct competitors. They are competing, as I said before, against entropy, external shocks, and proactive peers, and definitely time itself. So standing still really is losing ground. So in this masterclass, effectively, you get a blueprint. You get an in-person immersion to build, accelerate, and protect your family's future using what I define as private sovereign AI for the most part. And you'll leave with some level of a customized plan moving forward. We might actually do some build outs, at least on some basic things, with some incredible AI integration engineers right there, because this is an intimate group. I'm just talking a couple of people. And it's all up on angelorobles.com. So, like I said, it's not just an upgrade, it's really an extinction event for what I call legacy models. The traditional family office is built for administration. The AI native family office, like I said yesterday, and many other times, is built for cognition. It thinks, learns, predicts, and executes, or will, it already is to some degree, autonomously, depending on how you set it up, what your spend is, and how you want to integrate it. The old model scales effort. The AI family office scales cognition. And yeah, I get it. 99% will react, human nature, but 1%. So what? There's maybe 11,000 family offices out there. Do you want to take the lead? Do you want to accelerate your knowledge and immerse yourself right now within under 30 days of my masterclass or not? It's for builders, those who understand, again, that competition really is more, entropy, technological acceleration in time. You have to imagine AI, which is just inevitable, as effectively the control layer of everything. Investing, governance, risk management, it really is the decision engine, the monitor system, and can be a first responder. And if you don't control your own AI layer, then kind of someone else is. You'll leave certainly that knowing how to architect your AI application layers, and of course, AI agents trained on values, acting on your behalf, and living a living intelligence network built and controlled by you. And I am a big advocate. One of the values of having a family office is control, it's privacy, it's customization. That ownership and control, I do think, is everything. Old world really is more you're renting technology, you're sharing your data for these other entities to use. The new world, it's getting easier and easier to own your systems, your models, and your intelligence. So renting AI from public clouds, using too many other outsourced programs, in my opinion, you're kind of leasing your intelligence, you're sharing your data, and you're definitely, honestly, you don't know what happens behind the scenes. You're kind of training your future competitors. You want to own your data, your models, and your decision-making infrastructure, and we'll show you how. What computer and tech stack, how to use Olama, fine-tuning various open programs, how to back up your data properly, not always in the cloud, because that could be a risk in a variety of different ways, locking down that tech stack, potentially all with little or no touching of quote-unquote public clouds. You all know I'm a huge advocate of the concept of first principles thinking. And I can't wait till that Grok 3.5 comes out that's going to be built on first principles thinking. The AI's LLMs coming out now are incredible. So I could show you how best practices are kind of a trap and how to build or rebuild your family office really as a sovereign cognitive engine. So the why, sometimes why will early adapters win? Again, today, less than 1% of family offices are building really internally. The few that are gaining an advantage that I could argue, it's debatable, maybe impossible to match. And AI, it doesn't just speed things up. It redefines what's possible. Like, do you understand that? Potentially in certain things, operating maybe 10x faster with no friction and possibly asymmetric clarity. The future will absolutely reward velocity, vision, and design. Elite humans coordinated, like I said earlier, with AI application layers, autonomous agents, and other technologies will radically outperform traditional teams because they're combining, not by working harder, but thinking faster, seeing deeper, and executing with machine precision. The last thing, then I'll see if there's any questions or may have one or two rambling thoughts at the end. We'll see. Besides content I'm outputting, besides private breakfasts and lunches, the masterclass, and lots of work I'm doing on some deeper thinking, I definitely will be doing something in the Hamptons in August. I'm still fine-tuning it. In a world of noise and definitely uncertainty, I look to do something what I call Hamptons Family Office Week that stands apart from other events on clarity and conviction, and really want to build it by and with and for families and family offices, those that don't just follow trends, but help shape them. So bringing together families at the hotspot of the Hamptons in the summer and rising generation leaders within those families, I'd like to do more there for a day, maybe 2 days, and again, it will be in August, is something that I look at as being a collaborative effort with me and my families and attendees, and of course, my members, most importantly. This is where family offices come to think bigger, faster. Imagine how wealth is stewarded across generations. And being a member assures your opportunity and certain private access and connections as well. So, don't you think the family office circuit has lost its edge? It's often bloated with sponsors, bad speakers, and what I find to be scripted sales panels that deliver nothing more than polite conversations and recycled content. Imagine doing something special that involves real deep intellectual content with social interaction, what I call my soirees, where the signal often cuts through the noise with a sharp focus on authenticity, relevance, and especially peer led conversations. These are all things that I'm looking at. We had an incredible program in Palm Beach, probably going to be my marquee event every year. I'm connected there. I enjoy it there, especially late winter, early spring. Again, I came back also relatively recently from LA and hosted technically 3 to 4 different events there in and around Milken. Was a lot of fun. So yeah, there's a time and a place for more of a networking theater. But if you really want high performance, you need to have environments that are engineered for the outcomes, I guess you could say, that you're looking for. And I'm looking for the families and family offices, my members effectively, to help to shape some of the conversations that we're going to have. And I think having these be less scripted, less presentation format is best. So there's just so much going on in the world as things are. We got from Trump to the economy to macro. I mentioned the debt earlier, the debt cycle. There's so much. So what I call macro shock therapy, brutally walking through the crash cycles from 97 with long-term capital management, through even 2020. And the challenges we're going through now, looking at M2, looking at debt, looking at the dollar doom loop. Again, I go back to what I said earlier, printing money, trillions in debt, an exploding money supply, global distrust. And what happens with all of this if faith in the dollar, which I guess you could say has happened, begins to collapse? So the dollar's fate and kind of almost where to hide. So gold, Bitcoin, income producing real estate, interesting global businesses are all things kind of on the table, and art for sure, as a potential hedge. So I'm also looking to get 2 or 3 of the families to really actively participate. What are almost 3 assets that they want to own for kind of a world topsy-turvy, potentially on the cusp of a crash? Not theory, not slides, but real intellectual conversations. Asking if you could only hold 3 asset classes, what would they be? Now, of course, I'm going to talk about AI, that what you're doing today may not exist. I was going to say in 3 years. Sure, some of it will for many years after that. Some of it, as I mentioned earlier, with what's happening, may be going away right now as we're talking. So AI is here. Yes, it's erasing roles. Let's be blunt. And you do have to know, especially led by the next gen, what the future, and the future is now, family office will look like. For sure, all of you like when I talk about public and private markets, and my attendees do more than me, in investment opportunities where we name names in AI, robotics, space, crypto, defense tech. The future is accelerating, and you do have to ask, are you positioned for the exponential growth on the upside? I would like to do more on next gen kind of super sessions, maybe more breakouts for rising leaders and AI fluency, the challenges we have here in this country and around the world. So many different subjects that I look forward to covering, including at my breakfast and lunches. Those will be more targeted and perhaps more singularly focused. So I think it's important to take a look at what we're doing, to don't rest too much this summer. There's always work to do because the world is changing so rapidly. So you need to be a part of my SFO continuity is what you need to be, and lead with frameworks, relationships, and conviction to protect capital, to seize asymmetric opportunities, and effectively what I would maybe define as elevating your family's future. So since I sold Family Office Association a couple of years back, and that summer I basically was in my 7 to 8 month sabbatical, trying to kind of figure things out what my part two was going to be, as I was too young, even then at 57, 58, to retire. So creating SFO Continuity, the masterclass work that I do, even another initiative within that called Billionaire Mastermind, kind of a private mastermind group, and even things that I'll talk more about this summer. It is up on my website now if you want to learn about what I'm doing at Family Office Mansion, where me and one singular family, we rent a mansion. I bring in, again, let's go a dream team, and they really are, most of them in person, some of them digital, and we go hardcore the full week, and a little bit of fun too, of course. So you can learn about that at angelorobles.com. You can certainly learn about AI Family Office. And again, I'm not frustrated. It's just that maybe that is the word. It really is 1% interested and 99% kind of not. Like, yeah, on the investing end, that number probably rises up a lot, but you have to think deeper. Like, I want you to have a worthwhile career. How about your children, your grandchildren, the implementation of everything going on, all the things I spoke about to open this, how things are changing, to put your head in the sand and not accept the reality of AI and the march forward of progress and various different things related to that, genetics, longevity, the impact of robotics, which, like Musk and others said, will be bigger than the auto industry and will be huge, huge industries and opportunities and challenges from a societal perspective as well. I like to think deeper about these subjects. Lord knows I'm not always right. Although on some of this, I'm 100% right. But my timelines, you could argue, might be a little bit generous. But I don't know. Like, how did I open up today knowing about what's going on with the Gemini in terms of what they're doing in video? And wow, again, I'm going to say it again like I opened. You got to go and look this up. That is so incredible what it's able to do, at least a year earlier than I thought. Again, no more moats. Everything that we know is going to be varying and different. Now, the establishment, the so-called, especially what I mentioned, the experts, if you're incredibly successful, you probably don't necessarily want change unless you could control it and greatly profit from it, because how the world works has been good for you. And I understand. I've had some successes and I represent people from that perspective as well. But to just ignore it, to think that you're going to stop the march of progress and change, is just unrealistic. As you become a parent and grandparent, then those become the most important things to you. And having a viable world that we're going to live in, and there's lots that is in turmoil now, on the cusp of multiple different wars and challenges going on, the risk of nuclear, the challenges that we're having internally from a societal perspective, coupled with the relentless march of AI and the impact, if nothing else, that's going to have on jobs. Again, we'll save the discussion of utopia, dystopia. Part of it's going to be the decisions that we make as humans and how we move forward with it. And there is no easy answers. And in a quasi short term, I don't see within 2 or 3 years how there's not going to be a lot of pain, mainly due to job displacement and mainly due to white collar type workers. Even Bill Gates and his conversations about the impact on 90% of doctors, lawyers, and legal. Already, I find legal bills coming down with the internal services I use now. Things I'll talk about in the AI Family Office Masterclass, which again, you should be running to my website and joining. I'm not saying it's cheap. It's not. You get what you pay for. But the opportunity of joining my group, joining SFO Continuity, jumping into my masterclass, being a part of that, being busy this summer, you can't afford to totally rest and sleep just because we're heading into the beautiful time of the year and it's the summer. That doesn't mean that I don't want you to enjoy time with your family and loved ones and enjoy maybe some of the successes that many of you had. Yet many of us, depending on our personality, type A, we're driven by more and more. How does that define and work into what defines happiness? Well, again, a subject for a little bit of a different time. But for me, it's pedal to the metal this summer. And for my members, I look to, and The problem that I probably have with my members is I actually don't think they use me enough. I'm imperfect. Maybe some of the advice or guidance I have is not always correct for them. I'd like to think I'm open minded and careful and thoughtful. But if nothing else, if we could debate ideas and you could have connections connecting the dots in terms of your ability to think for yourself and connections to incredible people, including mainly your peers, like how could that not be valuable and worth a price of admission? So I do look forward to, I guess you could say, less plane travel. May have a quick trip out to Greater Aspen and Jackson Hole, chance back to LA, but for the most part, I'll mainly be in Rules, Connecticut, quasi a suburb of New York, and look forward to my interactions this summer in Connecticut, in New York City, the Hamptons, and probably up in Newport, Rhode Island come July as well. So hopefully I'll see many of you there. And again, always consider me a friend within the industry. Yeah, I could be a little colorful and bombastic. Some of you probably don't like my cigars. I understand. And I get it. I talk about things that others don't talk about. And sometimes they're sensitive subjects in today's world. I'm not going to say that's my calling card, but I need to be me. I need to be who I am. And maybe some people, that's not going to be their cup of tea. I completely understand. There's incredible people in this community that I learn from every day as well. And as I mentioned yesterday, one of them is coming up. I'll do it as a live. I'll probably save some of the content for my members and some of the connectivity of it. But next week, I believe it's Wednesday. I think it's 2:00, but I'll have announcements on it shortly. Ron Diamond is coming on. I've known Ron for years, effectively since he entered the family office community maybe 7 or 8 years ago. We agree on some things and we for sure disagree on other things. And to his credit, let's go. Let's have him on. He rarely does an hour and a half. And let's see where the conversation goes. And again, I know I'm the extreme advocate of the single family office, privacy control and customization. If you do it right, there is no other alternative, period. That's just how it is. So one of the probably debating points is going to be, Angelo, you might be right, but how about if they're whatever, sub 200 million or even sub 100 million? I would have said that would not have worked a couple of years ago. My line of thinking has somewhat changed, partially due to the capabilities of today's technologies, including AI, to some degree, some level of remote and outsourcing, although sometimes I could be a little bit hard on that. So I am going to stand strong. No one cares about your money like you. You have the responsibility. You have to take charge here. The onus is on you. And yes, in today's world, with the advent of privacy control and customization, of privacy with the right structures, and of tax optimization, what I'll be doing in that 360 review with this incredible tax attorney as well, you get, following somewhat the lender versus IRS model, it could be tax advantageous as well. I'm a big believer in that. And yes, maybe I'm eating my cooking. I'm a single family office guy. If you disagree, I'm willing to listen, bring it on. But no, I don't think outsourcing my wealth and trusting in others all the time that are not part of my control and entity is often a good move. Now, there's more nuances to that, and we'll see how it plays out in my conversation next Wednesday with Ron Diamond. And I got an incredible business exit strategist coming up too. Ooh, he's so good, so good. And this week earlier, Richard Swart, did you hear my conversation with him and Ram Alawalia? Those were incredible. And we did go down some political and geopolitical. They had different views than mine, and that's okay. Of course, I was right and they were wrong. But besides that, nonetheless, I'm half joking. They made some comments that could cause me to rethink certain positions. Again, a little bit like playing poker, which I do enjoy, strong opinions, but arguably loosely held. So there's no resting for me, or not too much this summer. I look forward to it. And yes, I am on a march. I really want to get 100 incredible families in family offices as members of my private community. And if they think I'm taking off this summer, they're completely wrong. Like, it's work. It's outputting things that I love, that I'm obsessed by, and on a quest for the right questions. And hopefully sometimes I may get the right answers to them as well. So I look for all of you to join me. If not, it's cool. You're still a friend. I'll do some things on YouTube and more publicly on LinkedIn. Some of you could always reach out to me. But in terms of really getting that final 5% and getting the ability to execute and handholding and the opportunity for true connections to incredible people, I have a great Rolodex. I've been very fortunate. Been in this community forever, for decades and decades. I'm an old man, but I feel young, vibrant, still do my about an hour and a half of workouts most every day. I adapted it a little bit as I've gotten older. So thank all of you. I hope you have an incredible Memorial Day weekend with your family and loved ones. Even I may take a couple of extra hours off on Sunday and Monday, and I'm extremely busy on Tuesday and, of course, Wednesday with Ron Diamond. Looks like I'll be doing a breakfast meeting for members in New York on Friday. And then again, what about 2 weeks after that is going to be the AI Family Office Masterclass. Like, you cannot walk away from that with not getting incredible skill acquisition knowledge and accelerating your capabilities very, very quickly, very quickly. And I look forward to rolling out with, again, kind of a partnership of the cohort of the incredible tax attorney and even others, but we'll be the lead too. And again, for 3 real, needs to be approved technically by me and him, we'll actually do the first 3 complimentary. And then after that, you all are going to have to pay, and it will be worth every penny. And it'll be actually pretty reasonably priced on top of it. My goal, one, I love and enjoy what I do. You should become a member. And sometimes from membership, additional things like my family office mansion, my masterclasses like the AI Family Office, and some that really want to go deep, where I sometimes travel to them for 3 days or do really more of a deeper engagement. It's kind of more of a consultative work that I do. So I enjoy that. And then once we're finished with the summer, New York City, I do somewhat of a larger scale program that will be rolling around. I'll be in Vienna a first week in May in October, very active in Central Europe, and just lots of incredible things. Then soon, you know it, we'll be heading into the heart of the fall and the winter. And it's just an exciting time to be in the community. I felt there was a gap of deeper intellectual conversations, things that maybe push certain boundaries. And again, I'm not all AI, but I love it. And I'm trying to wake all of you up to the realities of effectively what's coming. But I love family office structuring. I love holdcos. I love buying and interested in private companies. The interplay of family governance, next gen, rising generations, again, all the same. What I'm doing in family foundations, I'll release an interview probably in a week or 2 that I did relative to that. Private trust companies, tax issues, like there isn't much that I don't really enjoy. Certain things I may be a pinch more fluid on than others, but effectively I know key people, given my experiences and travels around the world, for so much. So again, you could all subscribe to my free stuff. That's great. On LinkedIn, go to @FamilyOffice, etc. But to really ingratiate, to really be part of something special. And that's the one thing that AI, maybe for a long time, I hope, won't take away from us. And yeah, in the near future, just images of me, I'll be able to pump into that program, write a prompt, and it's going to talk perfectly and clean up to make me look better looking and all that. But that's not real. Don't you want authenticity? I know I mess up some words. I know I'm bolding. I know I have flaws. And I'm going to be tempted to probably use some of the technologies in certain ways to amplify my reach relative to just being me, and a little bit me and my son, who's a little bit more ingrained in terms of what I'm doing lately. But for the most part, I think that's going to be the advantage to verifying who we are. Perhaps that'll happen on the blockchain, imperfections and all. So go to angelorobles.com. You should just jump in and be a member, honestly. And again, even if you're an advisor or someone within the community from a different perspective, that doesn't mean that my masterclass is not applicable to you. You should jump into that. What an edge you would get. And the other things that I do in some of the private advising to people in that community as well. So go to angelorobles.com and learn more. My email is angelo@angelorobles.com. Nicholas said, "Oh, no, no, not legal bills coming down." Yeah, Nicholas, you know that. AI is going to be, listen a little bit to my interview from, was it the prior Friday? I met him in LA. He's a family member. I had him on my show, Adam Burns, who was an attorney at a very prominent organization. Wow, that guy's knowledge of LLMs, more legal specific and things like that. It's all happening very, very quickly. A lot of things are changing. Now, more of a societal perspective, we'll begin to talk about the impact of AI and maybe recommendations me and leaders will have, and even things that I have concerns about with, my son and young people moving forward. Uh, we're human. I hope we have a level of free will. We all have to learn to think for ourselves. And maybe the art of creativity and human interaction is something that I hope for a long, long time won't go away. I touched on it a little bit with Ram. It's a little off the beaten path of money, finance, and family offices, but human interaction in the advent of digital online, the impact that's going to have on various industries, and closer we're getting every day to robotics. Even things relative to the metaverse, I have concerns looking a little further out, probably closer to 10 to 15 years. But we could save those discussions, perhaps over a cigar. I'll be in New York multiple times this summer. I enjoy meeting with incredible families and people. Again, you all know how to reach me by now. Just go to Angelo at angelorobles.com, the email, go to angelorobles.com and just join, be a part of the community, be a part of something special. And any of you could always text me anytime, even this holiday weekend, 203-570-2898. Again, 203-570-2898. Always open to ideas about potential guests to have on, even if they're a little bit more public. Always open to debates on various subjects, as long as it relates to kind of geopolitical, money, finance. And I got to always, I think, bring it back to family offices. So yeah, like I'm a little different. I hope you enjoy it. I've been in it a long time, and everyone, I look forward to seeing hopefully many of you this summer. Thank you all so much. God bless America. And again, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday weekend with this unofficial start of the summer. Enjoy.